Thanks for joining me for another episode of Dearly Departed Experiences of a Young Widow. I'm Ainee Lynnette Taylor. This episode may be a little difficult, mainly because I'm going to talk about something that could be offensive, and that's how to console a widow. It's not something we think about when it comes to giving words of comfort, unless you have been a grief counselor or a minister. Sometimes the words that we say, we hope will offer comfort. I know people, including myself, would say, I don't have the words, although I want you to know I'm here for you. But I realize now, after recently several friends and acquaintances have posted or said they have lost their spouse, it put me on the other end of the spectrum. In a place that I had been before, I lost my husband, Frederick. I always felt that I could say something, do something to help a person grieving or in need. But I found out I was doing pretty much what everyone does, and that's say, I'm so sorry for your loss. I heard that a million times. People wrote it, people said it, people called and texted it to me, I'm sorry for your loss. And I realized hearing I'm sorry in my grief made me feel a little bitter. Because I was so sorry too. I was very sorry I lost my husband. I wanted someone to bring him back, but that wasn't going to happen. Hearing the words, I'm sorry, after a while hit my sarcastic, angry brain. I started to think, why are you sorry? You didn't kill him. But what they were saying is, I'm sorry that you have to go through the grief, that you have to go through the sadness, that your life is going to change and things are going to be different. It makes perfectly good sense why someone would say that, because I've said it. And in Grief Share, where we had counselors who guided us through classes and through videos, we found in one of our sessions a topic about people consoling you during grief. And there was a commonality between us all. We didn't like to hear the words, I'm sorry for your loss. And some had others where they would feel offended if someone said, well, call me if you need me. I'm there if you need me. It's almost something nice to say, just like when you meet someone in the store and they say, hey, how are you doing? And they really don't want to know how you're doing. They just want to hear you say the words fine, and we say fine and keep it moving. But if you actually gave them the truth, told them how you were doing, I bet they would go, whoa, I didn't expect you to do that. So sometimes they're just words. Sometimes it's something to say because it seems appropriate. And honestly, it is appropriate to help offer comfort. It's just the fact that when you're grieving and you're trying to make sense of a lot of things, I realized I became sarcastic. And I wanted to write that in my journal, which is what I did, because I felt if I said anything to anyone, they would think, well, that's pretty cold and callous of you to think that the people who are reaching out to you are only saying these words because they don't mean them. They did mean it. Like I meant it before I lost my husband and realized sometimes saying, I'm sorry for your loss, was just nice words you see in a Hallmark card. But I also know it's important for us to still offer comfort. And as I have dealt with losing my husband and knowing that people were always offering to do something or say something to comfort me, I did come up with some tidbits of things that in my grief share we all talked about. And so I stopped saying I'm sorry for someone's loss. I truly am, though. I now let them know instead I give and offer my condolences, that my heart hurts for them. And I want them to know I'm praying for their strength and comfort in God. And the reason why I say that is because one of the things I know for sure helped me was prayer. people who prayed for me, I actually felt those prayers. And God would dispatch people who would say, you were on my mind, and I wanted to call and see how you're doing. That meant the world to me in a time where I did not know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to function. And so when someone asked me, call if you need something, I didn't know what I needed. I really wanted my husband back. I wanted my life back. It's amazing to me when we find ourselves going through the same cliches of consoling. It's not that I'm bashing those who say those things, but I do want to offer, because I've learned some other methods to help ease that pain of hearing, and then also feeling a kind of way about someone who wants to genuinely help, and then at the same time, what they say may not actually make you feel good about what's going on or any better. I now let people know in so many words if they would like to help. It would be great if they would say what they would like to do. I had friends who would call me, and they don't know if I was having a good day or a bad day, but they just would say, you were on my mind, I wanted to come and check, or I wanted to call you and see if you're doing okay. And that felt amazing to have someone say, I just wanted to check in on you. It meant the world to me when someone would show up and say, I just wanted to come give you a hug, because that's sometimes what I needed, was a hug. And I didn't know how to say that. I have friends and family, and they would probably gladly oblige and say, sure, I'm gonna be right there to give you a hug. But it was hard for me to say that, to let someone know I just needed the comfort of a hug. And when I got a hug, and I've wept in people's arms, I've melted, or just felt safe again, because I needed that personal touch that left my life when my husband died. It was the greatest gift. And I didn't have to say anything, because it feels like you're being needy at times, where you're feeling you're asking for too much. And you don't want to feel needy. You don't want to feel like you're burdening someone with your problems, because I learned life continues to go on. And it should. It should. But I was really stuck for a moment as I tried to keep everything together. Your bills are still going to come. Things like your life is still going to take place. You still have appointments to tend to. You have work that needs to be taken care of. You may have a child or a pet that you have to take care of. Those things don't go away because you're grieving. They don't disappear. They stay. They're here. You have to learn to deal with all of that. Once I was in that stream of grief and working through the mourning of losing someone, I failed to tell people how I truly felt and what I truly needed. I'm grateful for those who listened to God's little whisper and came to me. I think of a great friend who heard my pleas on social media about my husband's death certificate being held up because of the fact that he died in a dentist's office and not in a traditional setting like a hospital. He wasn't rushed to the hospital where they could pronounce him dead there. He died in the dentist chair. So that meant someone like his primary care doctor, based on North Carolina law, had to pronounce him officially dead. And I talked about that and how not having his death certificate held up opportunities for me to get his life insurance so I could pay for his service, but also shut down accounts so that things wouldn't keep continually going through those accounts. I couldn't shut him down. And I talked about the hardships of not being able to then have access to funds that my husband helped with in our finances and our livelihood. And as my friend heard that plea, She came to my house and came in and talked to me, and then without blinking an eye, wrote a check for $500. It was not just the fact that she was able to give that much, but the fact that she gave something so necessary without me asking. If I had to ask anyone, it felt, and that's me, not everyone, it felt like I was begging. And I did not want to feel that way. And it could be a part of, someone would say, pride. I didn't have time to be prideful. I was just knowing I can handle it. I can handle it. I always try to handle everything. I couldn't think about how to get through and where I was going to get the finances while I waited for the death certificate. But that gesture meant more than just the money on that check or the value on that check. It was knowing someone goes, I see the need and I want to fulfill it without asking you and making you feel as if you're begging. People have offered to bring me food, and we know that's something that we do a lot. During services and funerals, we bring food. That is a comfort. I didn't think about eating sometimes. I was too busy wrapped up in, I have to wrap up where my husband left off and deal with the grief of losing him. I didn't have time to cook, and going out to eat, some people enjoy that. I typically will eat out, but to do that every day on a day-to-day basis was another part of my life that was inconsistent. Also focusing then again on how my life had changed. It was another glaring example of your life is not like it used to be because my husband was the cook. So to have people drop by and say, hey, I just wanted to bring you something to eat. Priceless. I was going through a time, and it's hard to share that part of my time because as a widow, you hope to keep things going. But for me, it was a difficulty financially. And I was running low on food and running low on the fact that I couldn't produce enough money to even take care of some basic things for myself. And I started just to go through my cupboards and eat what I had. And of course, I could ask people. I could ask my family, I just stayed on my little island in my home, as I call it, in my island, and closed the door. And when I left that door, I presented a different person or showed someone that, oh, I'm handling it, I'm doing good. But behind closed doors, no. And God put me on a friend of mine's heart who had plans to have dinner with her husband. Her husband had canceled. And so she called me and she said, hey, what are you doing tonight? I had dinner plans and I would like for you to be my date. And I was like, wow, God. I had friends coming over later. And I told her, I can't go out because I have friends coming. And instead of her going, oh, well, then another time. And instead of me going, but I am hungry and I'd love to have a great meal, she decided to just, I'm going to get this meal anyway. I was determined to eat out. So I'm going to bring you a plate. And she brought me a Caesar salad and shrimp and grits and delicious cornbread. I had 2.5 meals in that one dinner. And she had no idea how much that meant to me. The words I couldn't say. There were not enough words to know. You just don't realize. But I knew God knew. And he brought her into my life so that she could bless me that day. That's how God takes care of us. He dispatches his angels here on earth to help us. So it means so much when people take their love for you and put it into action. Yes, words and prayers can be absolute blessings. And even if, as I have done, say things like, I'm so sorry for your loss. Oh, let me tell you the time that I lost someone in my life and this is what happened and this is how I handled it. I've done that to people. And when someone wanted to talk about their loss, it's a comforting place for them to relate to you. But at that time, I couldn't handle hearing about someone else's pain. I was just too deep in my own. So I realize now I don't try to compare. And even as I look at my friends now recently who are saying they have lost someone, I offer them condolences. I offer them prayers. And then I reach out. A phone call or text to let them know I am here for you. And most of the times, the best thing is just listening. It could mean more than you know. There are times I just wanted to talk about him. I wanted someone to hear me say great things because it brought back memories. While others, and even I've done this, have felt if I bring it up, it could make them sad. Honestly, it can make someone truly happy to say, oh yes, I was thinking of my loved one today and when they would have been doing this. Happy memories, tears may flow, but it also gives a release. I know now it's important to let people come and offer whatever they want to say. Someone literally watched me cry and they held my hand. That was good enough. It was great enough. It was all I needed. The actions that are put into place when you're at your lowest means the most. The prayers that get up to God where He finds those who are ready to put their love in action. He dispatches those people to you. And so this wasn't my rant on what not to say. It really is just saying, in grief, the biggest thing that can ever bless a widow is your listening ear and your willingness to pray. We're not going to always get it right. But what we will have with each other is the common bond of togetherness and love and compassion. We're all compassionate when it comes to knowing someone is grieving and in mourning. We reach out to them. We show them we care. I know I would like to do better. And as I've learned, not only in Grief Share, but learned in this process, I can do better. And I strive to, ever since the loss of my husband. And so, reaching out, listening, being a supportive friend, showing up when they need you, even if they can't tell you, I need you to show up. It's a blessing when you do. So I hope that helps to know that words are wonderful. Even if you don't have them, you can say, I don't have the words to comfort you, but I have the ears to listen when you're ready. And checking up on them, not just a week or two after, but a month, 6 months, maybe a year. Because grief, it's everlasting. Mourning will subside, but the grief is there. Thanks for listening to this newest episode of Dearly Departed, Experiences of a Young Widow. Remember, I'm on Amazon. I have a journal, just like the journal I had, where I wrote down my feelings versus verbalizing them like I'm doing now to help me get through the rough parts. And if you know someone who's going through, give them this book. Give them this journal so they'll have an opportunity to write down their feelings so it's not bottled up inside, ready to explode at the moment someone says something that's a kind word. And instead of a kind word, they may get the sarcasm that I harbored inside, but thankfully put down to paper. So think about journaling, think about helping someone journal, and then just listening. It's the best thing that any grieving person can definitely use in their time of grief. Take care. Until next time, be good to one another, be good to yourself, and I'll see you next week.